To be an artist is to have a nest of iron in your chest when you don't find your people. To be an artist is to make food out of words, movements of the body, temples of the voice. Your voice, tu voz, is the ultimate poem of being, poema. Para vivir, ser artista es tener un nido de fierro adentro del pecho cuando no hayas tu gente. Ser artista es hacer comida de palabras, movimientos del cuerpo, templos de la voz. Tu voz es el último poema de ser. Next, Pamela Means will share something with us.
I'm going to play a soft song about racism. And I have a fancy music video that this wonderful person directed and superbly edited. It's called The Color of the Skin. My father grew up in Jim Crow, Tennessee, a sharecropper son far from luxury. Moved up north in 1952, and a damn thing changed from his point of view. His point of view. Now I've been pulled over on a Shorewood shoulder, asked where you going, where you been. Ain't none of your business. Don't I look like an American? You're gonna think what you want now, don't you? I didn't know the side of the road was a court. Everything darker comes out in the light. We keep marching on, but our souls are tired. 'Cause here we are again, a black man gone 'cause of the color of the skin. The color of the skin. I was grown and groomed in the Great Lakes Midwest, where politeness covers up years of repressed. Tight lips, tight asses, too slow to grow, hyper-segregated masses, and I had to go. I seen the Rodney King riots in 1992. I'm a black president, I seen that too, but ain't a damn thing changed from my point of view. Ain't a damn thing changed from my point of view. My point of view. Everything dark, it comes out in the light. We keep marching on, but our souls are tired. 'Cause here we are again, Here we are again, a black child gone 'cause of the color of her skin. Everything darker comes out in the light, and we keep marching on, but our souls are tired, 'cause here we are again, here we are again, a black child gone 'cause of the color of the skin. The color of the skin, the color of our skin, the color of the skin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie, for changing our slides for us. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about who we are and who influences us, and then we're going to move into some activities for us all to participate in. You can go ahead. Thank you. So, as Pamela means, you want to talk about you?
That's me. I have many projects. I'm mainly a singer-songwriter, but I also play jazz, and I have a couple ensemble projects. I have a jazz quartet called the Jazz Project, cleverly titled. And I have a band called Pamela Means Band, also cleverly titled. And they're just different avenues of expression. The Pamela Means Band, I get to play with 2 other women of color with bass and percussion, Cinnamon Blair and Ashe. And we do all my original songs, and I do a lot of jazz standards. And, I'm influenced by a lot of great music. Duke Ellington said there are only 2 kinds of music, good and all the rest. So I'm influenced and inspired by a wide variety of the musics. But I'm also, and particularly relevant to today, I'm very inspired by writers and authors. Can we roll a little high end off my vocal? I think it wants to squeal. Bob, thank you. And largely radical political voices, Audre Lorde, Bell Hooks. That's good. That's what I meant. James Baldwin. And so we're going to get deeper into some of that inspiration as we go too.
All right. So my name is Diana Alvarez. I recently completed my PhD in electronic arts at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. And my dissertation was, well, you can see a little bit over here. It's called Bridge Artistex Innovate Gatherings of Women, Non-Binary, and Genderqueer Artists of Color. And so for me, throughout my entire educational journey, I kept finding that in my craft classes, anytime I was learning how to be an artist, those classes were really deficient in terms of learning about artists of color, people of color, or even thinking about the world in general and responding to the world. And then when I was in classes around social science and social justice, those classes sometimes addressed art, but that was always like the fluffy side of things, right? So I decided to center all of my work on something that I could study for the rest of my life, and that's women, non-binary, and genderqueer artists of color. So documenting our work, gathering us together, and creating spaces like this where we can create together, and just centering that work. And beyond that, beyond just centering people of color, really centering within our communities people who are not, who are discriminated against within our communities, so Black people, queer people within POC communities. So one manifestation of that work was Quiero Volver, a Chicanx ritual opera. Natalie was actually a part of that, and we staged it at Holyoke Community College and at the Academy of Music. Pamela was a part of that as well. And so this had my own documentary portraits of artists and my original music, and it all came together in a multimedia performance. And I'm a singer-songwriter and poet and perform regularly. So that's me. Thank you. So we want to know who you are today. I think that's the best way to figure out where we are. Just who are you right now? I forget to mention my pronouns are she, her, they, them. So if we can go around and introduce ourselves, we'd like to get to know you, and just tell us who you are today, what brings you here. So let's start here.
Hi, my name is Lucas, and I'm a musician. I grew up around here. My mom is Dominican, my dad is Mexican, and I'm trying to rediscover my those roots in music as of late. And my mom actually told me about this, so she. Yeah. Any details they want to know?
That's good. We just want to kind of get all like introduce each other to each other and just settle in and break the ice and kind of stuff, and before we get all vulnerable in front of each other.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Frulich, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am here because I wanted to reconnect to poetry, which sustained me for a long time in my life.
Okay. My name's Megan Harding. I'm also use she, her pronouns. And I'm a fan of both of you and also want to connect my own identity. I identify as white. I have Welsh American heritage, and interested in doing that through the creative process.
Hi, my name is Rick. I'm a musician, write some of my songs, and glad to be here with you.
Hi, my name is Kim. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an environmental educator, and I want to use my songwriting to find a voice for the earth.
I'm Jess. I use she, her pronouns, and yes, singer, songwriter, musician. So here I am.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. My 14-year-old says I'm having a midlife crisis, so that's why I'm here. No, seriously, I am. Finally, it's about me, so I'm learning who I am again, and I'm happy to be here. She, her. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kai. I use he, him, and I'm here because I typically write poetry, but I want to be in touch with connecting to other queers and being able to express the emotions that I feel being a trans person in the community.
I gotta stand. Okay. I like to see faces. So my name is Taliani Alexander. I'm a poet, actor, and songwriter and singer too. I'm here because I wanted to, Natalie invited me over, and I'm very happy to be here, and I hope to also have a voice and be able to connect with everyone. I like connecting with everybody, so thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie, and I'm also a local poet, writer, an artist, and performance artist. And I come from a very musical family, and I like exploring plant medicine and ancestral wisdom, and hope that this workshop helps me sort of bring that more closer to fruition. And I go by she, her, hers.
I'm Marty Pompushis, and I go by she, her. And I've had times in my life when I was spending more time writing and making music, and I want to reinvest in my sort of creative self. So I'm here to do that, and I love to be around people when they're creating.
Hi, my name is John Lentz, and for the last year I've been performing jazz. I'm making a career change. And I have a jazz trio cleverly named the John Lentz Trio, and we play around the area, mostly up in the Franklin County area. I came across Pamela not too long ago. There she is. And saw this workshop, and I'm starting to get some visibility. I'm starting to have a platform, and how can I use the platform in the jazz stuff that I do to also make some statements and hopefully help myself and others become more conscious.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I can't carry a tune in my pocket, but I like to write. And just in a really messed up world, and I'm trying to find my voice in it. Thanks, Mary. Oh, she, her.
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm here because I heard Pamela at New Bedford Folk Festival, and it was very inspiring. And so I thought, wow, what a cool opportunity. I like to write songs. I've always liked to write songs since I was a little kid, and I'm starting to share them a bit more now. I use she, but I also like to be called dude, because I kind of feel like I'm a little male and a little female. So glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Isabella. I use she, her, they, them pronouns. I'm a poet, artist, and a lot of it is today that I wanted to just connect with, like, half of my family is Mexican, and I don't really get to see them or connect with them, so I just want to bring that forward in my voice.
My name is Donnie, he, him, and I really appreciate both of you and who you are in community. That's why I'm here. And yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie. I'm a singer-songwriter and musician, and I'm also a writer of the non-musical variety. I'm here because I've known Diana for a while, and I'm very inspired by her, and I don't know Pamela as personally, but peripherally I've been as inspired by both of you, and just excited of the opportunity to learn and be in this space and be around other people interested in connecting arts and activism. So just excited to share the space today.
Hi, I'm Sarah Smith. You can use she or they for me. I make multimedia performances that are sort of dance-centered, but also have music and film and a whole bunch of other stuff. The one I'm working on right now is a futurist project centered in set in a world centered on the writing of Gloria Anzaldúa. And a lot of what you were saying before about a background of study where art was over here and activism was over here really resonates with me. So any opportunity I have to come together with a group of people, thinking across those things and bringing those things together is great.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm here because I like playing music, and I like music, and my mom signed me up. Hi, my name is Zamora. I use she, her, and they, them. This is making me anxious. But I'm here because I just want to feel inspired and creative and feed my spirit a little bit. I'm a teacher.
Hi, my name is Ty. So I'm here because I've been training in voice for the last few months, and I really want to start thinking about what I want to say with my music. So that's why I'm here.
I'm Megan, they and she pronouns. Truth be told, I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. I was just like, I like arts and I like activism, and some friends will be here. And now I'm here. Looking forward to it.
My name is Kathleen. I use she, her pronouns. I am an artist, a polymer clay artist. I make jewelry and structures. I come from a family of internationally known and recognized artists. I'm here because not so much of the music, although music has come into my head and Sounds pretty good. A while back, at a pace of 20 miles a day, I walked 20,000 miles from Massachusetts to Cape Town, South Africa, retracing the history of the slave trade. And so when I saw this announcement, I read that there would be an opportunity to start a writing project. I guess it's towards the end of today. So I am interested in finally writing the book about this journey and hope that this would be the inspiration and the impetus to get that going.
Hi, I'm Tosca. I use she, her pronouns right now. I also have a lot of social anxiety, so this is kind of hard, but I'm currently a social worker and I am an artist, but I haven't been making a lot of art, so I wanted to take this opportunity to get inspired and learn more about how to communicate activism through music. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Charlie. I love music, I love art, I love activism, so all these things came together, and I am a parent and a builder and a partner, and I want to see these things grow and help build them, so that's why I was excited to come.
My name is Maya, she, her pronouns. I write a lot, not so much music, but I get inspired by listening to music, so I thought this would be a good place to come and to try and get inspired.
I'm Jasmine. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I came here because I'm a young artist and I want to start my career early, so it's not as hard for when I'm older.
Thank you all very much for sharing so much.
All right, so thank you, Natalie. So anytime we do a workshop, I always begin with community agreements. These are just things that are important to me as a facilitator, a teacher. So it's really important to work with compassion. I always end teaching with a compassion circle. I don't know if we can arrange our chairs at some point to do that, but that would be great. But I mean compassion for others, but also for yourself. I know that this, yes, anytime you're creating and being vulnerable with others, it creates a lot of anxiety. It's scary. And thank you all for joining us and being here and sharing about your work. Grapple with your challenges with an open mind. I always like to remember that I have so much to learn, and when I encounter a challenge, I just try my best to move through it. You can always step aside and just not participate in something if that doesn't work for you. Also, just a reminder, restrooms are around the bar and over there. I think there's one restroom actually, and water's over there as well. We're gonna practice listening to each other and using inclusive language. And if you make a mistake, then just keep moving and do better. Speak for yourself, not for others, and acknowledge the specificity of other people's experiences, so it may not be your own, but be respectful of that. It's very important to, in every opportunity that you have, to try to claim some space with your voice, but also to create a space where others can claim space with their voice. So what to expect from this: play, listening, improvisation, laughter, especially because Pamela's here, timed writing, collaborative songwriting, and optional performance. You don't have to perform if you don't want to. For Nina Simone, there's a great video of her, and you can watch it on your own on YouTube. But she says, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice, but I choose to reflect the times and situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That to me is the definition of an artist. So here are a few people that inspire us.
I grew up in Wisconsin. Sucks. Really? Minnesota, you understand. Minnesota, which calls Wisconsin the Alabama of the North. Wisconsin, some of it's very fine, and there are people there who are working really hard to make it a better place. But if you look like this and you're queer, you're going to have a harder time, as I did. And I left as soon as I realized that I could. And once I left, only then was I introduced to writers like Audre Lorde and Bell Hooks and people that I mentioned, James Baldwin. And their work gave me words and clarity and articulation for why I was so rageful and sorrowful having grown up where I did. It gave me words to process my feelings. And I already was a beginning singer-songwriter. I just wanted to be a pop star, but then the realization of the world and myself in it collided with that bubblegum dream and the words of Audre Lorde, who said, "Your silence will not protect you. And you must use your own truth to empower yourself, or others will use it against you." I used those words to help come out and to face, and I continue to use them to face all of my truths and my perspectives in my writing and in my art. And so kind of by default, I became a political singer-songwriter because all of these writers and the writers that I've mentioned before speak very honestly and forthrightly and straightforwardly in their work. And I realized if I was going to do that, I would have to speak to all the pieces of myself. And many of those views are not so welcome or popular in our culture, but that if I ignored them, then I would be doing a disservice to myself and anybody else who had any sort of experience related to that. So I dove in, reluctantly at first, but now I embrace the role of being mostly a political singer-songwriter, and just especially in these times, but I've been doing it the whole time. And I just feel like it became clear for me to maintain integrity in my art. And so my fridge has been empty a lot of the years, but my heart feels good.
I like to say, oh, I'm Doctora Chingona, and I am. It means like badass doctor. But I always like to also emphasize with that I'm the first in my family to go to college, let alone pursue a master's, let alone pursue a PhD. And I come from Corpus Christi, Texas, and specifically my family is very oppressive, and I left very young. And for me, education was the way to escape that, using my mind in some way. And going against every grain that was set out for me as a low-income Mexican woman, queer. And so when I first was in an undergrad institution, I went to New York, and I think it was there that I first learned about Black feminism. And that was the only kind of way of understanding women of color and activism. But then when I pursued my MFA in poetry, I was really frustrated. I wasn't finding any people on the syllabus for my classes that reflected my experience. So I started doing research, and actually I found Borderlands La Frontera. That was one of the first things I found, and then it just kind of course, because Gloria Anzaldúa worked with the Combahee River Collective, with Audre Lorde, with Cherie Moraga. All of these people were working together, and it just exploded my world when I realized that this had actually happened. And so these are some crucial texts that if you don't know about them already and you want to learn about arts and activism, this is a great place to start. And even if you have already delved into these texts, they are something that I know that I'll be studying for the rest of my life, and that is what they merit, that sort of study. And it's not some little flash that happened. They're words and works and artistic pieces that deserve our attention. So that is why I bring them forward. They're life-changing for so many people. Okay, so Pamela spoke about Audre Lorde, and I think that one of her most powerful poems, I always teach this in my classes, Litany for Survival. And these are two separate quotes, but this last part is, "And when we speak, we are afraid. Our words will not be heard, nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive." So if you are interested in learning about how to break your own silence, there's this wonderful essay called "The Transformation of Silence into Language and Action" by Audre Lorde, and it's in Sister Outsider. Can we move forward now? Thank you. One thing that is very important to me is starting the process of writing from the body. And this comes from my study of these artists and these scholars. They believed that you have theory in your flesh, and they wrote about this, this idea that you have, it's a theory of the flesh. So this is how we structure the workshop. We start with the intuitive and remove ourselves from the mind, because we start with our body. We can't really write anything without it. So Anzaldúa wrote, "For me, writing begins with the impulse to push boundaries, to shape ideas, images, and words that travel through the body and echo in the mind into something that has never existed. The writing process is the same mysterious process that we use to make the world." Another really important aspect of these writings by Anzaldúa and Audre Lorde is that they used artistry, used creativity to shape a new world. And I often say I'm science fiction. I shouldn't exist where I exist. I shouldn't have pursued a PhD and actually finished it, all the things that I've done. And so much of what women of color, queer people of color have done throughout history has been to build a whole new world through their artistry. So if you ever feel like your creativity is something that should be sidelined, another reference for you is "Poetry is Not a Luxury" by Audre Lorde in Sister Outsider. She talks about poetry being the skeleton architecture for building a whole new world, right? It comes from a feeling that you articulate into a thought, and that thought becomes something that you write out, and that is your way to create a blueprint for something new in the world, right? And that's why we are bridging arts and activism together, because they're not separate things, and the arts are crucial to creating a whole new world. We came up with a list of a few of our favorite protest songs.
Yeah, that's good. This is America, yes. I think protest songs are as old as spirituals, slave songs. I just wanted to backtrack a bit to say that, back to the books, that I have a very tattered copy of Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, and that book changed my life. I was introduced to her work in the anthology, This Bridge Called My Back, and that's where we get the title for this workshop. We've both been inspired by that anthology, which introduces many of the writers that we've mentioned. And my tattered copy of Sister Outsider has dog-eared pages and paragraphs underlined and squares around them like highlights, and I go through it every once in a while. I reread the whole thing, or it's a series of essays, so you could just open it at random and read a an essay that's really only 2 or 3 or 4 pages. It'll only take 10 minutes, and then you'll be ready to go like conquer something. So I think protest songs, I think the definition really could be varied. It's just speaking, the old cliche, speaking truth to power. But I think really the protest song could be personal, just being honest with your feelings and being able to say them, especially as an identity that's on the fringe, air quotes, of our society. To use our voice for any reason is political warfare. It's a radical act, and it's an important thing. And Audrey also says, who would believe our stories if we didn't tell them? So I think we all have a duty to ourselves first, and then to our larger world to, like Nina Simone said, reflect our time. So I think that there's a thread through all protest songs, and I think it really goes back maybe even before that, slave song, centuries back. But if we have time, we'll play, I have a playlist of many different protest songs if we have the audio hookup. But I think we're going to get to some hands-on paper and pen-on-paper writing because we're coming up on 2 o'clock. And we want to make you bleed before you go.
Before we write, we're going to start with the body. So if I could ask everybody to pick up your chair and move it to the periphery of the room. It'll take a little bit of time because there's a lot of us. We're going to get a little messy. That's okay. Move over a little. Okay, so this is a sound circle activity. It may feel really silly. That's the point. We have to play. We have to make mistakes. I often tell my voice students, you have to hit the wrong notes before you can hit the right ones. So just the goal is to play and to not think about this. I know that's difficult for some of us. Okay, so what does it look like when I'm giving a gift to someone? What does that gesture look like? Can somebody? I'm extending my hands. Usually I'm making some eye contact. I'm gesturing toward that person, right? We're going to be giving the gift of sound. And the sound will be random. So let's start with just taking an inventory on your person of all the sounds you can make. It might be with your voice. Woo! Good. You may have some cool jewelry that makes sounds, so just notice all the things that you can do. So on the count of 3, I want us all to make the loudest, silliest sound we can possibly make. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Cool. Isn't that fun? Okay, so on the count of 3, I want you to make a really quiet sound that you're really listening to. And as you're listening to yourself, listen to whatever else you hear in the room. So 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to become an instrument together. Okay? And we're going to pass a sound. I'm going to make some random sound up. There's no judgment about this being a pretty sound or being in tune or part of a scale. You're just going to make anything up, and it can be something you snap or clap or sing, vocalize. And you're going to pass it on over to the person next to you. And the way this is going to be is that you're going to listen to the person before you, and then you're going to transform that sound into your own sound. Make something up, and then you're going to pass it on to the next person. Has anyone ever played the game where you pass on like a hand squeeze across a circle? So this is doing that in some way, but with sound, okay? And we're just going to play. I see some nervous smiles. The point is to play. We have to start with the body so that we can actually get into the depth of listening and writing, okay? So I'm going to put the mic away. Okay, it's a little noisy in here, that's okay. We have that ambient noise, but we're going to pass the sound around. Don't worry about it being loud. We're just all going to attentively listen and just become an instrument together. So I'll start. Okay. Don't think, play. Very nice, very nice. That's your first sound circle. So I want us to dig in with a little more experimentation. Again, take an inventory of the sounds you can make on your body. It can be vocal, it can be stomp. And we're gonna really, that was excellent. You kept it really continuous around the circle. So we really want to be really gelled together, one after another. And then I'll give you some instructions for making things louder and softer, slower, faster, okay? Because once you start with the sounds, then you can start, as a composer, arranging those sounds, right? Okay, so let's have somebody surprise me and just start us off. Who would like to do that? Any brave individuals just want to make a silly sound? Meow. Do you want to go in that direction? Okay. Now go really fast. Anything. You got it. Really loud. Really soft and quiet. You always exploded. Excellent. Thank you so much. Now that you've gotten making silly sounds in your body, we're going to move into some listening. This will move pretty quickly, and then it's all leading up to writing. So if you would find your chair or a comfortable spot to be in the room, just go over to it and have a seat. Make sure you put any of your things on the floor, nothing on your lap. We're going to do a short, deep listening meditation. And this is a practice that I learned from composer Pauline Oliveros, who was really interested in her sonic environment and the study of listening. And there's a Deep Listening Institute that she created. So this is a short meditation. Is everyone okay with meditation in the room? I've had people tell me they're not. That's okay. So I want you to put your feet flat on the floor in front of you in a way that's comfortable. Find a spot for your body that feels good in that chair. And I want you to roll your shoulders back, relax. Stretch your neck a little bit. So we're going to practice some belly breathing. When you're singing, you can't support anything without a breath. I always start with the breath with my students. So put your hands on your belly. And when I tell you to take a deep breath, I want you to fill your belly up with air. And you're not moving your shoulders up to take a breath. Your belly should expand out. So deep breath in. And exhale slowly through your mouth. Another deep breath in. And exhale slowly through your mouth. And on this third exhale, I want you to close your eyes as you exhale. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can keep your eyes half open if that feels good. So deep breath in. And exhale and close your eyes. Right now, your only task is to listen. Maintain regular, gentle, easy breathing. You might notice sounds that you make, sounds that people in the room make, sounds outside of this room. Relax your shoulders. Be mindful to breathe easily and gently as you listen. I want you to bring your whole awareness to your sonic environment. Right now you're practicing global listening. And this is the kind of listening where sonic frequencies wash over you from every direction, and you're not prioritizing one sound over another. You're listening to everything all at once. And you'll notice as a musician that any space you walk into has its own tone. Right now you're taking a mental picture of what this space sounds like. Keep breathing, nice, easy, gentle breaths. Relax your shoulders if you notice that you start to tense up with your attention to sound. See if you can relax. Now we're going to move into something called focal listening. And this is where you turn your attention to one sound at a time. And I like to envision this as bringing your mind's attention to a sound like a laser beam. So for example, I hear glasses to the right of me. And I bring my whole attention to those sounds and understand the pitch, the frequency, the volume of those sounds. So practice focal listening, moving to one sound at a time. All right, so let's go back to global listening. Just listen to the whole room all at once. Keeping mindful of your breath. So just notice the pitches that you hear surrounding you, the frequency or the repetition of sounds that you might hear, the sounds that you make. You're going to bring that sonic awareness into your world as you write. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and on the 3rd exhale, gently open your eyes. So deep breath in through your belly, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Another big deep breath in, and exhale slowly through your mouth. And one more big deep breath in, and exhale audibly if you want. And open your eyes. Okay. So I like to bring our awareness to our sonic environment because we're thinking about writing, we're thinking which we communicate with words and sounds sometimes, and songs we communicate with sounds. And it's important to be aware of your whole sonic environment because this is your whole playground. You could create a song with anything, right? It could be an instrument, a traditional instrument, or it could be something that you start tapping out on the bar, right? So bring that sonic awareness into your writing. We're going to start moving into generating some text.
Let's do a couple vocal exercises on the way to writing, just to play with words. I'm also very inspired by the book Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg. Has anyone heard of that? It was a book from the 80s. It's a book about writing, any kind of writing. It's also one of my favorite kinds of books where it's consists of tiny little chapters you could open at random to find inspiration or exercises to write. And some of the exercises immediately and forever changed the way that I approach writing. And we're going to do some of that timed writing in a few minutes. Just a couple of exercises to warm up. Some of my favorite tools in songwriting are alliteration and assonance. Alliteration is when every word in a line or a few begin with the same letter, like Hopelessly Hoping Her Harlequin Hovers Nearby by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Assonance is when there's an internal rhyme in a series of words, like can't, rant, slant, bant. So let's use the alphabet and just go in the circle for one round of alliterative pairings. They can be nonsensical, just like a couple words that start with A, like apple arrogance or something like that. They don't have to go together. They just need to start with the same letter. And would you mind starting, Kai, with A? Just a couple words with A. Shout them out.
Aromatic. Athleticism.
Don't think too much, just do it.
After applesauce.
Antagonistic.
Oh, wait, no, we're going alphabetical. So you did A, so you do B's, although that was lovely.
Boss better.
Clandestine candy shop.
Dancing dog.
Exquisite elephant. French fries. Go goats.
Helping hand. Illuminated. Illuminations.
Jumping jacks.
I feel like a game show host. Do we have a K? Do we have a K?
King Kit Kat.
Laughing lunatic.
Mellow Mountains.
Coming around.
Nosy neighbor.
Optimistic opossum.
Queer qualities.
Restful raging.
Sassy sandbox.
Tumbling turtles.
Unbelievable umbrella.
Vera's varnish.
Wild West.
Extraterrestrial X-rays.
Yellow yak.
Zebra zygote.
Alegre amor.
Bossy bitch.
Whoa! All right, so let's do some writing. So get some paper and writing utensil. You can write on your digital device too, but I think it's much more symbiotic to use your hands, pen on paper. It's a more direct line from your emotions right to that. Let's do that. So I encourage that. So I would like us to do a few timed writing exercises. They are inspired by Writing Down the Bones, Natalie Goldberg. They can be excruciating and terrible. So we're going to do it. The purpose of a timed writing exercise, as she describes, first of all, you ignore all rules for spelling, grammar, margins. None of that matters. All that matters is that you get your pen moving and you don't stop the pen moving the entire time that we've determined to write. And the purpose of that largely is to break through our own self-censors and to our subconscious and to get out some really deep, sometimes terrible, frightening, ugly, painful stuff, sometimes wonderful, sometimes fluffy. But the point is to transcend those internal voices that prejudge what you want to write. You know, I think we've all had moments where you have a thought, and sometimes even before you write it down, you think, "No, that's stupid. I'm like, oh, nobody's gonna like that. It's stupid. I'm not writing that." So we want to get past that. Plus, if you also must give yourself the freedom to write total junk, total crap. It's like Diana said, you have to sing a lot of wrong notes before you find the right note. It's totally okay, and it's much better to have a page full of garbage that you can go through and edit and pull a few things out than a blank page. So we're not going to judge what we write. We just going to try to dig deep, dive down. Another phrase that Natalie says is to go for the jugular. That means to write whatever comes to mind without worrying about who it might offend, whose feelings might get hurt. They don't have to read that later. You don't have to make those decisions right now. But you do need to work through your own process, your own emotions, and to get them out on paper is a really powerful tool for that. So I'm going to give you a prompt, and you're going to write for 5 long, excruciating, painful minutes, nonstop. Don't stop the pen for 1 single second. And your prompt is, and you get a prompt because if you start to go blank, then you rewrite the prompt and you keep going. You just don't stop, no matter what starts to come out. So your first prompt is, I remember. Thank you. So we're going to get 5 minutes, nonstop. Whatever comes to you from the phrase, I remember. Go. Stop. Okay. And this is how I write almost every single song that I have written since I read Writing Down the Bones. And when I was a younger songwriter, I just pushed my glasses up, but I'm not wearing them. When I was a younger songwriter, and songs would come magically from the skies, and it was all like, ooh, I thought that's how it was meant to be. And I didn't give any legitimacy to the craft of songwriting. But then I only had like 3 songs forever, so I started, and I saw other songwriters talk about their process, and so I began to realize, oh, well, it actually is work, and it can take a lot of work, and not just time and energy, but also emotional work, and you can become emotionally exhausted. And I happen to write a lot of songs from fetal position, where something happens, for example, the song that I played when we started The Color of the Skin. I wrote that in November of 2014, the day that the grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri decided not to indict the officer that shot Michael Brown Jr. And like many people that day, I was distraught, I was in tears, I was full of rage, I was shaking, and I had to be somewhere. But I needed to do something with all those feelings, so I sat, I laid, I curled up, I grabbed my guitar, and I sobbed out a few words And some of those came out pretty quickly. And then I went back a little and edited, and that's what we're about to do now. So I say that because what you're doing is actually what I do. So we're not just making this up. This is my particular process. Everyone has a different process. This is mine, and it has worked wonderfully for me. It has put me through the emotional spectrum many, many times in my life, and I'm grateful for it as a tool to find out about myself and to express myself and to speak to the world. So now comes the editing part. So you got to crack an egg to make an omelet. So now we'll take 3 minutes. If you have time at home, this could expand into an entire afternoon. You could write for 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. Maya Angelou used to write in the morning and then go have her day and then come back in the evening and then read what she wrote and revisit it and edit it. We don't have that time in this particular workshop, but however you design it and to do it in many different ways is a really wonderful thing. So take 3 minutes to reread what you've just written, both sections, and underline anything that appeals to you, a word, a phrase, anything that you like for any reason, and then extricate that, take that out and rewrite that in a separate blank page, just so you've got sort of an edited new form of collection of words and phrases to work from. And we'll do 3 minutes on that, and go.
So one of the most challenging things for me for years about songwriting was that I was a poet, and I wrote lyrics or poems on the page and performed them, and then I sang. So I had the instrumentation, I had the lyrics, but I didn't know how that magical process all comes together. And we're going to dig into a little bit, just the tip of the iceberg as to how that happens. You can start with pure sound. You can start with the way that we were doing a sound circle, experimenting with sounds in a space, hearing what you listen. It can be more experimental, or it can lead into actual pitches that you arrange together in a melody. Or if you play an instrument, you might start beatboxing. You might start playing a chord progression like we're going to do here and go with that rhythm. There are a lot of ways of going about this process, but what we've started with is unlocking your creativity around sound and listening, and unlocking a little bit of the writing, getting into going for the jugular. And so what we're going to do is Pamela's going to play a chord progression. And we would like for you to read through the text that you pulled out that is something that stood out to you about your writing. And you're not going to write a full-fledged song, or maybe some of you will hear it all and you'll be done. You're like, okay, thank you, bye. But I want you to pull something out, and it might just be a hum. It might just be one word that you repeat over and over. If you just hear something, you can hear it in your head. See if you can vocalize something out. We'll do it quietly, obviously, so that everybody can hear themselves. But you all are going to hear different things. So Pamela's going to play something for us. Do you have something else you want to say?
We're just going to borrow from a standard progression. Once you start to learn an instrument and learn to play songs, the secret is almost all songs have the same chords and recycle the same handful of chords. And what makes every song different is how you use those chords, dynamics and voicings and such. So I'm going to play a very basic progression. I'm going to play C, G, A minor, F. It's a 1, 5, 6, 4 on the key of C if you're so inclined. So you can write that down in case you play an instrument at home and want to try to keep it going, or rearrange them. These are very basic chords used all the time: C major, C, G, A minor, F. And I'm going to play them 4 beats per chord, the old common time for our culture for centuries now. And here we go.
So the first step of this is just to listen, get into the groove. you don't have to start with your song just yet, or the words that you are thinking about. See if you can hum along with this, whatever comes to your mind and whatever you feel with this chord progression. As you start feeling the music, look over at your lyrics and see what wants to flow with this, what you hear.
And sometimes the words don't come at the same time when you're trying to put it together with an instrument. So maybe just vocalizing like, Paul McCartney famously used to use words like banana, banana, banana when he had a song idea before he had all the lyrics together. So, banana, 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 banana. Doesn't matter, it's just to keep going and connect to your words, to your instrument, to your soul, to your words, to your instrument, to your soul.
And remember, you have to hit those wrong notes. You have to play. Totally okay to speak these words in a rhythm as well. You don't have to vocalize them with pitch. It can be a poem that moves with the rhythm. Many ways to express yourself. Across the sound you like, keep repeating it. And if you get to this point, vocalize it out. This takes time, so one word, one breath at a time. Also, your songs can be funny and silly. They don't have to be profound all the time.
Well, we prefer that.
required, but it's an offer. If you have a little phrase, you want to share it with us, I have the mic. I can move around with it and see if anybody wants to share that. It's really cool because we'll all have something a little bit different that we've created. We're very, very different. Would anybody like to do that?
I don't sing, so I will speak this. Trapped in a tributary of fear, programming of what should be clear, sheared within a secrecy of non-binary urges, culture, gender, orientation. Who is oriented? Trapped in a tributary of fear, programming of what should be clear. Who is? Who is? Who is? Who is?
That was so amazing. Thank you. Anyone else like to share? Yes.
Backtracking, I'm always backtracking. Got a lot of anger, I'm sure, but I don't know what it is. White hot and cold, always feeling I gotta do what I'm told. What am I told? What am I told?
So you wanna play cowboy? Okay, you little fat cowboy. I know what you wanna do, cowboy. You go ahead, you play cowboy.
Okay. All right, here we go. I remember when I was born, running free, wild for shore. I see the skies, the clouds passing by, how beautiful. I remember when, I remember how. One thing I do remember is the now, the reason why I was born so beautiful.
Others.
I remember I didn't mind the rain, and I had some friends, and they all felt the same.
Thank you.
The time of confinement se acabó. Break through the barriers is what I'm told. The pen on the paper, what could be greater to express? Don't impress, don't wait for later. Don't think about no haters.
Thank you. I remember 1,000 pieces. Whenever I look back, a different one is missing. Anything you think you know can be deconstructed in less than 15 minutes. Anyone?
You can't love me like this. Balled up, angry fist. I am so torn apart, making it all stop, never stop.
Thank you. Who else?
I remember when I was little, living with my grandparents was joy. And even though I was happy, there was always this void. I miss my parents every day. I would often cry at night. Laying in bed, I would wonder, will there ever be a time when it's not goodbye? When it's not goodbye.
Anyone else? No pressure. Let's hum along together. Anything that comes out. Would anyone else like to share? All right, thank you so much. What an honor to hear what you wrote in this moment and to share it with other people. Wow, it's my favorite part of this. Okay, so we're going to do a short closing. Our workshop has come to a close, so we're going to do a closing, and I have some paper over here for you to give us an evaluation as well. Just give us some feedback. Maybe I shouldn't say evaluation. That sounds so rigid. All right, I'm going to get, let's all stand up and come together in the circle again. I believe that as a musician, I have to practice in order to improve upon anything. And the way that I practice as a vocalist and as a guitarist, I believe that I need to practice my compassion as well. And so I've created this exercise for all of my music classes to teach musicians and songwriters that this is actually an important part of our lives. So you can be compassionate with any person. You don't have to know the person next to you. You can just say, I hope you have a badass day. So what we're going to do is go around the circle. I'm not going to put this, we're not going to be mic'd. We're just going to do this and listen to each other. And this is just about having a genuine experience, sharing some compassion with the person next to us. And we'll begin. Okay, so now that we've all listened, it instantly lifts the mood of a space, so it's a good reminder that a little compassion goes a long way. I would like to just hear one word about what you're leaving this workshop with, and we can do this on the mic so that we can all hear what people are feeling at the end of this. So let's go around the circle and just say one word. I will say refreshed. Rejuvenated. I have two.
Gratefully surprised.
Uplifted.
Impressed. Joy.
Thankful.
Happy, joy, hope. That's one word.
Having fun.
Curious.
Depth.
Inspired.
Shaky.
I was going to say inspired too.
Motivated.
Surprised.
Joyous.
Invigorated.
Open.
Gratitude.
Exciting. Timed writing.
Ready.
Happy. Community.
Agency.
Encouraged.
Reconnected.
Safety.
Thank you all so much for signing up and spending this time with us. So go forth and make art.